Hey, what's up everybody? It's the Crypto Ginger here. Guys, I just wanted to quickly go over some of the more recent news when it comes to what's happening in the cryptocurrency space, especially revolving around XRP and Ripple, the company. I know that's a huge focus with this channel here, but there's a lot of activity taking place around that company that really should lend itself to a lot more reporting and a lot more information to the public. Now, just recently we experienced what looks to be a pretty nice little bull run for XRP. And now, of course, a lot of the other top performing cryptocurrencies, we're experiencing some minor runs there when it comes to the same type of movement that XRP experienced. But you can see here just a quick glance at the chart that really XRP took a really nice spike upwards, and now it's definitely correcting a little bit more afterwards. But I would attribute a lot of that to the news that we just recently got when it comes to NASDAQ adding the XRP index to their actual global data service. So definitely something to keep in mind when it comes to seeing these particular little price surges. It's about a 4% increase from yesterday. So within a 24-hour period of time, we saw some nice movement, but nothing substantial. So again, I do believe that having the index for XRP added to NASDAQ as part of their global data service is, one of those things that really helped, spark a little bit of an interest in the XRP digital asset. But again, not the biggest amount of movement when it comes to that coin. My guess is that we're going to start seeing a little bit more tapering off, possibly the coin going sideways in its price point right now. This is just a price point that's been held back and in this price range for quite some time now. So a lot of people in the community are expecting a significant price movement with all the news and announcements we're getting. I'm going to guess that this procedure here, this process that Ripple's going through to expand upon their particular products that make a use case out of XRP, that's going to take some time, guys. So a little bit of time that we're going to have to wait. We have heard different types of talk in the community about whether or not May, for example, the month of May is going to be a very good month for XRP. Of course, a lot of that is, I would imagine, hearsay unless we start seeing more in the realm of development in this month here. But I'm going to guess that around quarter 3, quarter 4 of 2019, so the latter part of this year, is really where we're going to start seeing a little bit more movement in the way of the price point for XRP and even your other top performing cryptocurrencies as well. But that is going to be some time that we have to wait. We're going to have to endure this summer with a possibility of not seeing a significant amount of price increasing with XRP, but that could change. Really, it's just developing news that we have to be waiting for, and of course, a lot of activity when it comes to companies out there making a use case out of XRP and money coming into that specific digital asset. So I hate to ramble and I apologize for that. I just wanted to let everyone know that we did see a small bit of a price surge, but a lot of it is attributed to some of that news that we just recently got. So very good for XRP when it comes to being associated with NASDAQ, but I would imagine we're going to need to see something very significant when it comes to some sort of very big interest in XRP to the point that we see a lot of money flooding into that particular cryptocurrency. So I got my fingers crossed, guys. A couple of things I wanted to quickly go over as well. Now, when it comes to expansion for the XRP digital asset, it's really good to see other exchanges out there adding XRP as a base pair for their own fiat currency. And now we're seeing a Taiwanese exchange actually doing just that, adding XRP to the Taiwanese dollar as a trade pair. And this is actually for the cryptocurrency exchange BitoEX. This is something that took place on the 29th. So a couple days ago, we got this announcement here. So again, a very good move when it comes to BitoEX, a Taiwanese cryptocurrency exchange, pairing up XRP to the Taiwanese dollar. So now we can see more people from the Taiwanese areas there being able to onboard themselves into XRP directly from this exchange. So again, another big move when it comes to exchanges pairing up XRP to fiat currency for an onboarding ramp there. A couple other things I wanted to quickly go over as well. Now, when it comes to the development of cross-border payments, Ripple is definitely on the forefront of that. They absolutely have their hands in a substantial amount of cross-border payment solutions for different types of banks and financial institutions. And of course, we're getting reference here from Cointelegraph.com that Singapore and Canada central banks complete their first cross-border blockchain payment through the use of the distributed ledger technology. And we're going to kind of get into really quickly here how this is linked to Ripple. But before we get into that, I just wanted to state that according to the article, we can see that central banks of Singapore and Canada have successfully used blockchain network to actually send each other digital currency. It says here that as part of the distributed ledger technology, Both banks, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, BAS, sent funds to the Bank of Canada without a third party. That is a very big move when it comes to, again, cross-border payment solutions, and seeing that Ripple is at the helm, at the forefront of this particular technology, definitely lets you know that Ripple is on board when it comes to trying to get as many banks and financial institutions into the realm of cross-border payments utilizing their platforms, whether it's xCurrent or xRapid. And majority of them are using xCurrent, but it gives them the opportunity then to switch over to xRapid later on. But again, that's a little bit of a side note. We are seeing some development again taking place between the banks of Singapore and Canada, and they're not having to use a third party, and they're using the distributed ledger technology. Now, this right here is a big move when it comes to that. Of course, a little bit further, the article does state that the process was made possible by linking two distributed ledger technologies, MAS nascent project Ubin platform and Bank of Canada's Project Jasper. Now, here's where it becomes really interesting. Here's a little bit of a dated article talking about how Ripple joins forces with Canadian Bank for new project. And looking a little bit further here, we can easily see that in an interesting turn of events, the central bank and RippleNet collaborated for writing the white paper for Project Jasper, a collaborative approach between the public sector and the government. And of course, this has to do with the Bank of Canada. So it looks as though we have the central banks of Canada there dealing with Ripple in what's called the Project Jasper. Looking a little bit further here, we can easily see that there are quite a bit of names that are actually involved in this particular project here. As far as that is concerned, it says a detailed white paper on the finding of Jasper Phase 3 has been published by Bank of Canada, TMX Group, Payments Canada, R3, and Accenture, which also include the feasibility of settling and clearing securities over a POC leverage on R3's Corda platform after successful simulation. Now, bringing all this up because R3 is definitely one of those names you want to keep in mind here. Why are we bringing up R3? It's because of the fact that R3 and Ripple came together to create what's called the Corda settler on R3's Corda platform. And as you can see, as part of R3's page here, R3 launches the Universal Settle application to facilitate global payments on Corda, and XRP is the first settlement mechanism. It's not going to be the only settlement mechanism, but it is currently the first and really at this point in time only option that they have available to them from my understanding. So it gives all of these particular companies that are linking themselves on the Corda platform the availability to make payments and process them through XRP because of this Corda settler that was again designed by Ripple and R3 together. So we can easily see that this right here is a facilitating way for all of these businesses to actually go through and make payment processes via XRP. Again, it will open itself up to other different types of currency payment processing methods, but at this point in time, XRP is the first settlement mechanism that is available on there. So again, a very good avenue when it comes to these businesses looking to have a distributed ledger technology to avoid the third-party processing, and they have the availability of a digital asset currently available to them to make payment processes much easier, faster, and even more scalable than they're probably used to. So a very big move when it comes to, again, the Bank of Canada, this particular movement here that's taking place when it comes to, again, the central banks of Singapore and Canada successfully sending each other digital currencies. So again, this right here is a big move when it comes to what's taking place for cross-border payment solutions. And this is just another article coming from payments.ca talking about the Payments Canada, the Bank of Canada, TMX Group, Accenture, R3, and they're demonstrating their feasibility. Again, this is actually having to do with the distributed ledger technology. They're orchestrating this particular arrangement to get together and create that white paper for, again, the Payments for Canada, the Bank of Canada. So we're seeing, again, a large amount of these companies here that are involving themselves with banks that are part of the distributed ledger technology. R3 definitely one of those big names that you have to keep in mind. So while doing my daily stroll through Twitter, I actually looked through a lot of the XRP community members that I follow or that follow me to see if there's any information that I might have missed. And of course, one of the people that I would suggest following happens to be Justine. You can follow her at JussieC123. She stumbled across this particular link from Central Bank Payments News. You can find them at CB Payments News at Twitter here. And they posted recently to find out more about digital payments and financial inclusions that are taking off in Nigeria. You can can follow the link here. Well, she actually asked the question, can they expand upon the further class of innovations, please? And of course, they went to state that many central banks are now looking into the role of fintech, blockchain, and open banking in their expanding financial inclusion. She then asked the question, thank you for responding, does that include DLT or the distributed ledger technology? And then they responded by stating, yes, indeed, another great initiative. And they just so happened to put a link in here regarding a little bit more of the Project Ubin, which has to do with the distributed ledger technology. And of course, you click on the link here, and it's interesting because the letters there, MAS, that is something that we actually just saw recently in another one of the articles I was just talking about. We'll kind of go back in that in just a second. But Project Ubin is a collaborative project with the industry to explore the use of distributed ledger technology for clearing and settlement of payments and securities. DLT has shown potential for making financial transactions and process more transparent, resilient, and at lower cost. So we definitely know that particular process when it comes to the DLT or the distributed ledger technology. We also know that as a primary focus for the XRP digital asset is very fast, scalable, and of course the process to send money back and forth because of its fees are so minimal. So a very effective digital asset for cross-border payments as well. But interesting enough, we're seeing that the distributed ledger technology here is actually being incorporated through this Project Ubin, and it's a primary focus for central banks there. And look at this right here. MAS announced that on 16th of November 2016, it partnered with R3. The consortium also includes Bank of America Merrill Lynch, DBS Bank, Hong Kong, and Shanghai Banking Corporation, JP Morgan, R3, Singapore Exchange. So we can easily see here that there's a large collaboration when it comes to these companies involving themselves with the distributed ledger technology, R3 most certainly being one of those prominent names there, dealing with this Project Ubin. And of course, the main focus for this is the central bank's digital money, and of course them using the distributed ledger technology. You can see that it's a good focus for the Singapore Financial Center. So very connected when it comes to these companies out there, these distributed ledger companies getting themselves immersed into the central banking system, and we can start seeing that being expanded upon quite heavily. So a lot of links here, guys, when we're seeing this taking place here. And of course, again, we're getting reference from those who are part of Nigeria and having their particular central banks being immersed into the distributed ledger technology. This is fantastic news right here. Now, of course, I'm going to guess that there's a lot of this to be expanded upon. We're going to start seeing a lot more news when it comes to this, but definitely thank you, Justine, for actually reaching out and, you know, doing your part when it comes to being part of the XRP community to find this information out. And I definitely want to give you a shout out for that. So outside of that, guys, do your own research, do your own due diligence when it comes to getting yourself immersed into this particular fintech technology, at least researching this information, of course, researching those cryptocurrencies or digital assets that you really want to have a prime focus on, such as XRP. And of course, guys, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just letting you know that there are big things taking place here when it comes to the distributed ledger technology, the blockchain, and the fintech side of things. And these central banks, these big players out there, are not wasting any time when it comes to getting themselves onboarded. So hopefully you're not someone who's wasting your time when it comes to that as well. Outside of that, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this channel. Thank you so much for at least enduring these videos. And if you are new to this channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. Share this content with as many people as you possibly can, please. And of course, take advantage of any of the links if you want to secure cryptocurrencies either offline or just simply dabble with them on your mobile phone. Outside of that, guys, thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.